Hey guys, Brian from TennisMindCamp.com. Now like always, yep, you got it right, I've got a question for you. Are you struggling with your volley game? No, that's not a rhetorical question. I'm asking you. Internally respond to me in your head. Okay, question number 2. Could your volley game get better? Could it stand any improvement? If you answered no, buzz wrong, no. Of course it can. If you're a tennis player and a competitive one, I mean, we all want to get better and crush our competition, right? Of course. Now with that said, how would you like to get some volley tips from one of the greatest players this sport has ever seen? I'm talking about Rafael Nadal. Heard of him? Now while Rafa doesn't have the polish of a Roger Federer or some of the intangibles or the technical prowess of a Novak Djokovic, Nadal, through good volley strategy, is steadily growing into one of the most ferocious volleyers we have in the game today. Yeah, Nadal can get nasty at the net. I mean nasty. Nasty meaning good, meaning wins, meaning points, whatever. You get what I mean. Okay? Now, one of the great things about this is Nadal became so successful and got where he is today through smart work and a little less hard work. That being said, you can do it too. So let's go ahead and check out this video so you can find out some of the strategies that Rafa used to get where he is today and how you can implement it in your own game pretty much instantly. Okay, so see you at the end and hopefully you enjoy it.
How Rafael Nadal gets super nasty on his volleys. Now, if you look at things from an objective viewpoint, you may look at Rafa's volley game and see that he isn't precisely at the same technical level as some of the other masters out there on tour. But that said, Nadal has a very special talent that many of those masters don't have. His placement. His placement is absolutely crucial to his success, and a thing of pure beauty, I might add. Now, one of the reasons why it's such a beautiful game, and so effective as well, he seems to have an uncanny ability to be able to place the ball just out of the reach of his opponent. He makes it so that his foe must always take that extra step just to have a chance at returning it. And then, as the game wears on, then that's when we learn a little bit more about diminishing returns from his opponents, of course. Now, there's one mistake out there that tons of players make that they shouldn't. And if they didn't, they'd see a lot more wins. Many players make the mistake of having their opponents on the ropes or on the run. You know, they're about to put the nail in the coffin or slam the door shut, so to speak. Then they do something to let him or her back in the game and swing the door wide open again. Like hitting the ball right down the middle, directly into their opponent's strike zone, that's what. Let me give you a bit of advice. When you have your opponent on the run, you don't want to let up. Don't do something like hitting the ball right back to them to let them back in it. You want to put your foot on the neck of your opponent and snap it. Kill them off right then and there. And how do you do that? You do that by keeping them working, okay? Keeping them running, and that's exactly what Rafa does. Rafa runs and works his opponents to death. Well, until the next point starts, that is. See the image to the right if you need a visual of what I'm speaking about. Like we said, he makes his foe always take that extra step to get to the ball. He does this by using two things to his advantage. 1, distance, and 2, angles. He uses these two elements to make getting to that return, let alone making a solid one back, extremely difficult. And as the game wears on, this can add up pretty fast. Pretty soon, tongues will be wagging and errors will be mounting. Now, some people listening to this video or watching this video might say to themselves, well, Rafa isn't the top dog anymore. Why should we be looking at his game and figuring out ways to emulate it? Now, yeah, that is partially true. You know, while suffering through several nagging injuries, Nadal has been tested as of late, you know, by some of the titans of the game right now. But it just goes to show you that you have to be a player of only the highest caliber and the highest skill level to topple this man. And even then, he makes you work like the dickens to get the win. Now that explained, some other people watching this video might say to themselves, well, if Rafa or Nadal is such a technically inferior volleyer when compared to some of the better players, how is it that he can have so much success? Well, the answer to that lies in the fact that attaining great volley results isn't just about the technical aspect of volleying properly. While others focus so much on technical skills and technique, which is truly important, don't get me wrong, Nadal focuses just as much or even more time on his strategy. He's a smart player. You know, like we always talk about how so many people can bang the ball hard, so many people, have great swings. Well, that said, there's only a couple top 10 players around. If that were the case, you'd have a lot more players out there holding trophies up over their heads. So, though the technical aspect is important, okay, strategy is just as or even more important. And that's what Rafa focuses on. Technique is great to have and incredibly necessary in order to be successful. But closing out the point properly and creating the most distance between the other player and the ball is just as, if not more important in Rafa's eyes. Oh, and also, it happens to be one of the reasons he's got so much hardware in the trophy case. Now, that said, you might be saying to yourself, all right, so now we know that he focuses on the strategy of the game as well as the technical side, right? But what in his strategy does he focus on? Strategy is so broad. One of the things that he focuses on, to make a long story short, he focuses on forcing his opponents into uncomfortable and undesirable positions. That's his main goal. Pain is his main goal. To cause his opponent as much pain and as much discomfort as possible. And in doing this, there is a bit of meticulous methodology to his madness. What do I mean? Well, he doesn't just go in and charge the net randomly whenever the breeze blows or he feels like getting in some good exercise. Or that's what it's like for a player who's out there hitting in a match, not really playing a match, okay, and playing to win it. The way you have to do it is how Rafa does it. He really picks his spots in where and when he wants to rush in and storm the net. Now, a lot of you who've watched Rafa on TV or even live know that Nadal is pretty much a baseline banger a lot of the time. He's got incredible foot speed and powerful ground strokes. Now, if he has that, you might be saying, well, why does he come in? Well, he knows that you can't beat every player the same way. Okay, you have to switch up your game and come up with a different game plan for different players, okay, who play with different styles. You're always looking to exploit their weakness, and not all players' weaknesses are the same. Got it? That said, you'll see Rafa hover back close to the baseline for the better part of the match or better part of the point. But when the right opportunity, let me put that in quotation marks, bold, and a star next to it. When the right opportunity presents itself, this is when he'll press position and make his advance to the net. You don't want to do this, okay? You don't want to rush the net after a weak play on your part. Sure, we know that when you rush the net, you can cut off the angles on your opponent. Okay, so I'm going to rush the net and then cut him off for him. Yeah, but you don't want to go in when you've hit a defensive shot or you find yourself in an inferior court position or sending over a short ball. This is the trifecta for disaster if you do all three of those. This is where so many players mess up. Sure, you gain advantage by rushing the net, like I mentioned, but it's brief, okay, and short-lived. You can cut off the angles for your opponent, sure, but again, brief and short-lived until he passes you or hits you. Timing is everything. Look at your watch and listen to me say it again. Timing is everything. If you rush the net and go in behind a weak or inferior play, you'll get smashed. Most likely. But for certain, your opponent will have the advantage long-lived, and a good player will immediately look to seize the opportunity and capitalize on your error. That is why Rafa, more often than not, he'll only come to the net once he's hit a ridiculously strong approach shot, or got his opponent already sprinting to the corner of the court with his back turned. Now, after the aggressive approach shot has been struck, the next matter of business involves court positioning. As his opponent runs towards the ball and away from the baseline to attempt the return or reply, Nadal won't play any games. He'll position himself perfectly to receive the return right near the net, just above the tape. Oh, and by the way, great example. The closer you can get to the net when you're rushing in, the greater strategic advantage you're going to have. The further you're away decreases the amount of pressure that you place on your opponent, and many times your ability to create better angles as well. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, the more likelihood that balls will be landing at your feet, down in no man's land, and you don't want that. Now we come to pace and power. Now, word to the wise, when you're up to the net that closely, by the tape, like Nadal is, you don't have to swing the racket like you're trying to be Josh Hamilton of the Anaheim Angels. Many players make this mistake too. When we get up to the net, we have the advantage, we're excited about it, the blood is flowing, the adrenaline's flowing, and sometimes the tennis warrior in us takes over. What that means is we take the Spartacus approach and want to slaughter everything in our path. Kill, 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 kill. Or as he said in Season 1, Episode 1, kill them all. But please control your urges when you get up there. Do that, my son, and you shall receive the point, most likely. Okay, you want to be safe and solid. You don't have to hit everything as hard as you can. Use your opponent's power here. Actually, placement and the angles you use here are actually a lot more important. You want to make them run. Make them run, make them run, make them run, make them run. Okay, when Nadal is up here at net, he'll give it sort of a love tap, if you will. Not too hard, but not too soft either. Now that's your power play. Block it back, you're good to go. Now here's your placement play. Rarely does Rafa ever go back up the middle. If we were in doubles, good play. In singles, unless he's way off the court wide in the corner, maybe not so much. Rarely are you going to want to go up the middle. So that said, more times than not, the Spanish specialist, Rafael Nadal, will make his opponent lace up his running shoes by sending the ball right toward the sideline and angle it right off the court. What this does, of course, makes the ball harder to reach, but it also ups the level of difficulty on the part of his opponent. And even if he's lucky enough to get to the ball, it's highly likely that Nadal will be able to easily send the ball back to the other side and watch his opponent run after it again, and so on and so on. Thus to generate the horrible, as I like to call, cycle of terror, of the never-ending point that you're pretty much destined to lose if you're the opponent. And when your legs go, my friends, let me tell you, you are basically an athletic zombie out there. Not a good feeling. You'll basically be out there going through the motions without any real chance of getting the victory. So in this case, Nadal's case, does everything right like he's supposed to. Best case scenario, Nadal scores another point. Worst case scenario, the opponent gets the shot, returns it, but is more winded as a result of it, and his energy level is depleted for the points to follow. So, by using the Nadalistic strategy and taking the smart 3-step process that we talked about, we can score a lot more unanswered points while simultaneously psyching out the opponent, causing them to make a lot more errors. Oh, and probably the best part about this strategy, if you're on tour or you travel a lot in the club circuit or club level, is that you can use this strategy on clay, grass, or hardcore surface. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the same and produce very similar results for you.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope you gained something from it, or maybe if you knew a little bit of the concepts before, hopefully it was a good reinforcement for you. go ahead and check out the website TennisMindCamp.com/course for 19 hours of kick butt tennis strategies and audio sessions. And go over to the blog or the website at TennisMindCamp.com/blog so you can get tons of other content there. Okay, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Therefore, you'll be notified first when I upload a new one. Okay, so like I always say, have a great day, an even better game, and I'll see you soon.